Hey guys, this is Alex Ramsey, host of Night of the Batman, with my 5-day event, 5 Days of Night. I am up to number 4 now, or day 4, which is a fan film called Batman Puppet Master. Now, before I start with the whole summary and the whole reviewing process, I'll start by just giving my brief impressions on it and what I thought of it. And just explaining it in general. Batman Puppet Master is a film that takes place between the end of the Dark Knight movie, when Batman is on the run as a fugitive, and between Dark Knight Rises. At this point this picks up at this point where they have hired a new guy to basically head off the whole Batman hunt thing, and his name is Edward Nygma. Now, a lot of you might be familiar with that. He's like a cop that chases after Batman, and the cops are still chasing him at this point. And it's very good. It feels like it's part of the Nolan verse, especially with the opening, which I'll get to in the pros. Just a lot of this feels very much like almost Nolan made it, or it takes place in the Nolan universe. I don't even think they call Edward Nygma the Riddler one time, which I thought was cool. I don't think they usually do those in the Nolan movies either, which is another thing that makes it more like that. The acting on this is really great, and I'll get to that later. Some of the effects and just generally how everything looks very cinematic. It looks very cool, and better than most fan films do. And my complaint earlier about how a lot of fan films don't have story behind them, or an original story, this one makes up for that. This one actually has a story. It's more just it's addressing things that happen in the Dark Knight, and also it's doing a little bit of the whole Nightfall thing, of which the actual movie didn't end up doing this. I think this might have been made before The Dark Knight Rises was, but just sending villain after villain and people after Batman just to sort of wear him out, sort of like Bane did. I thought that was an interesting touch, having Edward Nygma's character just start all that. Also, Scarface appears in this, and I like how he's played in this too. That's interesting because a review I did a little while back in Batman City of Scars, he was also in there. I think the actor that plays them in both is very good. So I guess I'll get to the summary. Okay, it opens up with Victor Zsasz, and he's killing some of the people there and making the normal, like, the marks on his skin. I thought that was a cool touch, and I thought that how they just opened on this very disturbing note was very cool. It set the mood for the whole thing really quick. And also how it's right out of comics and making those scratch marks on him. I think he makes a brief appearance in the Nolan trilogy, but that's just like a cameo. And apparently he's been set up by the Riddler, aka Edward Nygma, and Bruce / Batman hasn't met the Riddler yet in this continuity. So then we cut to Batman leaves there after Zsasz is arrested, and we cut to Edward Nygma going in there with the box, having a meeting with the ventriloquist, and wanting to see Scarface, and then it leads to a scuffle, and there's a timed bomb on the case, and they're about to shoot him when he gets out. And Batman gets in, like, briefly during this whole confrontation, and starts fighting them. He quickly beats most of them, but Edward Nygma escapes, and he starts arguing with Edward Nygma, telling him he doesn't have to do this, and why is he doing this and everything. And then after that, the police break in, and Edward Nygma makes it look like that he got stabbed in the leg by one of Batman's batarangs, and Batman runs. Then we cut to the ventriloquist who's trying desperately to open the box and pulls a gun on someone that's trying to help him get out, but his obsession and everything is he's so dedicated to Scarface that he would stay there and get blown up if it meant getting him out of this case, which it is revealed he gets out of this case. And Edward Nygma gives him this clue before then. He says, what performer will do anything for a hand? You finally figure out it's a puppet. So he puts that in, gets him out of there, and has him, and he's about to, the girl that was trying to help him, he ends up shooting, and it's sort of left after that, whether it's up to your imagination whether or not he shot Whisker or not, the ventriloquist. And then it cuts to Batman at the very end. And before that, they're talking about how one of them will have the streets and everything, and basically the Force will take care of them. And then how one of them, and how Nygma says he wants Batman. Okay, now that I've told you the summary, I'll tell you the pros. Okay, first of all, the pros. Like I said earlier, the cinematography in this is amazing. It's almost movie quality. It's really good and crisp looking, and the acting and like the effects, like when Victor Zsasz cuts into his shoulder, you can see the blood come out. It looks very convincing. The mood is established right away, and it just sort of holds that the whole movie. And it's compelling. You never get bored watching this. That's one of the things I really like about this. It doesn't drag on like some other fan films might. The story, while the story is sort of just trying to bridge the gap between the two movies and just sort of give us insight into how the different events informed the Dark Knight Rises, it's also very interesting and help set up the Edward Nygma character and help us see him in a different light. I also like that they took his character and did something different with it, like Nolan ends up usually doing with different characters of the Batman comics. Yeah, just the mood, the acting was great. The music, just the costumes look good too, especially Batman's. I liked Scarface in this, the guy that played Whisker. He was believably crazy, and I really bought it. Yeah, just overall, everything was just really good in here. It really felt like I was watching a Nolan movie, which is really hard to achieve on a fan film budget, and I applaud them for doing that. That was really good. And it's 15 minutes long, but it never feels like that. You're watching it, and you're just like, you're into it more than anything else. You're not bored at any point, like I said earlier. I like how they included different elements from previous Nolan films and stuff to inform this story. I thought that was a really cool touch, and how they expanded on characters that were previously mentioned or seen in previous Nolan movies, especially regarding to Zsasz. I liked how they took the characters too from the comics and made them like Nolan might have made them, and this very much feels like it should be part of the Nolan trilogy. It feels like it took place in that universe, which that's their job number one, and they did that amazingly. I particularly liked the guy that played Edward Nygma. I thought he was very good, very believable. I liked, obviously, Ventriloquist and Scarface. I thought it was cool how they were talking over the phone and everything, and it kind of made me wonder a little bit what was, how they were doing that, because unless it was a recording or something. Also, just other things in there, like how Victor Zsasz is very much his own thing. Like he's part, like he feels like the character from the comics, but he's he didn't look exactly like it, which is, I mean, a lot of the characters do that. Like, they'll take elements from the comics and then adapt them the way maybe Nolan would have and make them serious, which I think is really cool. If I can think of anything, cons, I guess one thing I might mention is that if you haven't seen either The Dark Knight or know anything about The Dark Knight Rises, even though it doesn't really inform The Dark Knight Rises as much as The Dark Knight, you might be a little bit lost watching this. I know in certain parts the story could have been clearer what was going on, even though I did enjoy it. There were certain parts where either they weren't very clear or it just wasn't explained enough. But I think that people that have seen The Dark Knight will definitely enjoy this a lot because it has a lot to do with that in many ways. And also is very much, like I said earlier, set in the same universe, so it's pretty cool. Yeah, and that's really my only complaint, is that people that even I felt a little bit lost at some points during the movie, and people that especially haven't watched Dark Knight might feel a little bit lost too in certain parts, but it's still enjoyable. I recommend you guys watch it. I can't think of really anything else. The story and everything was great in this, and just the whole film in general was really good. I liked how they took the Riddler character and did their own thing with it. That was really cool, seeing that angle. I've never seen him from that perspective before or done that way, and I liked it actually. I guess that's pretty much it. If I were to rate this on my 1 to 5 scale, I would probably give it like 4.8, which means it was really good. There's a lot of good parts in this, and it's very well made. You can tell that whoever did this clearly spent their time. It looks very professional, and again, it looks like it's part of the Nolan universe, which many have tried to do and failed, and this one accomplishes almost, it seems like, effortlessly, and also becomes sort of its own thing too, which is really cool. I guess that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, like, comment. I love the feedback you guys are giving me. You guys are awesome, and I hope you enjoyed this review. I should have my next one and my final one up pretty soon, so be looking forward to that. Okay, guys, you have a great day again. Guess I'll see you later. Bye.